This is the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where we talk with martial arts practitioners about their histories and the influence their practice of martial arts has on their lives. You are listening to the free version of this podcast, which is abbreviated. Help support this program by considering to subscribe to us on Patreon and access the full-length version of the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcasts, all for the price of one coffee shop coffee per month. Go to www.patreon.com/malmag. That's www.patreon.com/malmag. In this episode, Christopher Bruce and I sit down at the Inosanto Academy with David Bertrand of the Jeet Academy in Belgium. We talk about trekking around the world, training martial arts, and much, much more. Sit back and enjoy. All right, welcome to the Martial Art Lifestyle Podcast again. I am Tim Becker, and I'm with
Christopher Bruce. Hello, all. How you doing again?
Oh,
man, today we've got a special guest. We're going to talk about some really cool stories here today, guys, and also a book. So, if you would love to introduce yourself.
It's a nice exercise. So I'm David Bertrand. I'm from Belgium, and I'm just here visiting in Los Angeles for training at the Inosanto Academy. And it's been the 10th year I've been coming here to train. So,
wow, it's been that long.
Yeah, that long. 2009.
I think it was 2011 is when you first punched me in the face.
When I sweep you.
Oh my God, the sweep, yes. Oh, that's actually funny.
The sweep is the best.
Yeah, we were doing a kickboxing class, and I went to throw this round. It was in Kathy Long's kickboxing
Kathy
class.
Long's kickboxing, yes.
And we were doing, I think it was kick counters, and I was throwing a round kick, and he did some Sanda sweep or something, and I remember... I went up and I'm looking at the ceiling and I'm thinking, what just happened? And as I'm falling down, I laugh and I just hit the ground.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was a good
that
laugh.
was beautiful. That was beautiful.
It was Enter the Dragon sweep.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
See, only in martial arts can we make friends by punching each other in the face and, sweeping each other to the ground.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
It's a bonding thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, what was the first thing that attracted you to coming here to Los Angeles?
Actually, I did some seminars with Guru Inosanto in Germany, like every year from 2004 to 2000. I think the last time was 2013, but I was going every year to his seminar in Germany. And also, my first instructor was in Geneva, and so I've been training with him in 2001. His name is Chris Cornas. He still has his academy there. A very, very, very good instructor in Europe. And he introduced me to. So I was into Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun, and kickboxing, and I was doing a lot of stuff. But no Southeast Asian martial arts, no Kali. No Silat, no Muay Thai. So I went because my ex-girlfriend was living in Geneva. So I went to find a place to train, and I found him. And then he was already training here every year. So he was an instructor under Guru Inosanto from Geneva. And then I started to do Jeet Kune Do, like I would say Jun Fan Kung Fu with the curriculum, and then he told me you should do some Filipino martial arts. At first I didn't like it, all these weapon stuff. I never really liked the weapons. But then he said, "Hey, you should do it. One time, 2 times, 3 times." And then I invited him to give a seminar. I think it was in 2005, and he did Jeet Kune Do because we were doing mainly Jeet Kune Do at that time. But then at the end, he did 1 hour of Kali, and then he said, "Now you should teach a little bit, like progressively, just basic stuff, just for you." And then I started to do a lot of seminars with a lot of instructors. So I started with Guru Inosanto. I also did a lot of seminars with Salem Asli, with Rick Tucci, with my instructor Chris Cornas. So I learned a lot. Just even before coming here, I was like into the academy martial arts, and then I did Muay Thai, and then I was like, it just opened my mind. And then Chris told me you should go to the academy. That's the motherland of martial arts and of Jeet Kune Do and Filipino martial arts. And I just loved Guru Inosanto, the way he was teaching. And I was like, okay. In 2009, I went for 1 month, and then I said I have to come back. And then I went back for 1 month. I stayed 3 months one time. At that time, I could come twice a year. And now I come once a year, but I still try to be consistent. Yeah. So that's the game.
That's good. Yeah, I think most of us, that's kind of the thing. We come here, like I came for 2 weeks, and then I went home and started packing. I was like, I'm moving.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and then you moved.
Yeah.
That's good.
Got in a budget rent a truck, put a sofa in the back, so we road shared, me and 2 friends, and we just opened it up and let somebody sleep while somebody drove, and pull over in the desert and spend the night right there on the side of the at a rest stop or whatever. It's crazy, but it's amazing how many people we get from all over the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like here is to meet people from everywhere. And I made some very good friends. That's why I can come and I can stay at friend's place. Otherwise, staying at the hotel for 1 month here, it's like you put all your money on it,
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was lucky, because I had friends who I could stay with, and I did some couch surfing, and it didn't matter for me. As long as I can sleep somewhere, I just sleep, and then I go to train. So that's how I do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So your first art that you started off in?
The what?
The first martial art that you
Yeah, how'd you get involved in martial arts?
Yeah,
How
so
old
I
were
started
you?
when I was 15. Of course, I was like everybody and millions of people. I was a fan of Bruce Lee, but I would not say a crazy geek fan. I was really like interested in martial arts and the things he was doing, the thing I was seeing in the movies, and but I think at first I was a little bit afraid, because somebody told me, yeah, but if you go to kung fu classes, you're gonna be kicked in the head and punched in the face. I said, I don't want to be kicked in the head. So like when you think like that, you say, okay, I'm gonna train to be kicked in the head. No, why should I train then? But then I had one very, very good friend, a childhood friend. He was so good in martial arts. Still now, for me, it was one of the best guys I saw training. He was doing kung fu, and then he did Yosekan Budo, so Japanese martial arts. And the way he was moving, and he could do the things we did we saw in the movies, like all these kicks and stuff. And I just loved the training part and the visual part of it, not just even for fighting, just because. And of course, when you are 15, you don't want to defend yourself, you don't want to have any problems. And I had some experience that then I understood that it was important to be able to defend yourself. And altogether, maybe some how do you say that? The cartoons, the mangas from Japan. We had a lot of mangas in Europe. They were coming in the 80s, and they were all doing martial arts like in these mangas. And I don't know if in the United States you know them, but and I don't know the name in English, but they were very, very big, and they were doing martial arts. The purpose was just training to be a good warrior, to fight bad warriors, something like that. It was always the spirit. So I want to be. I would like to be as strong as them and as good as them. And it was pretty easy, because I was living in a small town south of Brussels. It's called Louvain-la-Neuve. It's a university city, and we have a big sports center there. So it's one of the biggest in Belgium. Still, it's a small town because of the university. You need the big facilities. And so there was kung fu at that time, Yosekan Budo, French kickboxing, and boxing. But I was really into kung fu because of Bruce Lee, because I just know Bruce Lee, kung fu, Chinese martial arts. I didn't really understand what was Jeet Kune Do. But so I started in this club with we did I remember on Monday we did Wing Chun, and on Friday we did more like combat kung fu. What would be Sanda today, but Sanda was not really existing at that time. So more the Chinese kickboxing style. And so I really was into Wing Chun because I knew Bruce Lee did Wing Chun in Hong Kong, and so I just kept going. And then after 2 years, I was like, yeah, maybe, because in Wing Chun we don't really fight; it's always empty hands. So I was like, I should do some boxing, and I was really stiff. My hips were very stiff, and but I really wanted to be a good kicker. So I went to the French Savate kickboxing because they did a lot of sparring. It was a tough class, very tough class. Like in north of France and Belgium, we have very good French Savate kickboxing clubs. So yeah, that's my background. At first, I would say for 3, 4, 5 years, I did Wing Chun, Kung Fu, and French kickboxing. And I went to the boxing classes just for sparring and to have experience. Yeah, and so yeah, that was my introduction to martial arts, and then I never quit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you start a school? Do you have a school, or do you train out of a garage?
Yeah, actually, for me, teaching has always made sense for me. I mean, I always like to share what I know with others. So pretty quickly, I was even not in a school, but I was like outside of the gym, outside of the club, the martial arts club. I was just training by myself and training friends. So we're always training outside, because we wanted to be better. And then I started just because I was a little more advanced, so I taught them, and then just it came naturally. And then I always like to teach and to share and to know and to know more and to learn. So for me, like even when I was at school, for me school was never hard. I had I was not like the best student, but it was okay. I liked school. I liked my teachers. I liked to learn. Sometimes it was boring, but it's like everything. So I choose like really this way of being instructor more and more made sense for me. And like I don't know, one time I remember, I think it was in 2001. So I was training. I have been training for 6 years. And then everybody knew in my town that I was doing martial arts, but the kung fu school closed because there were like some politics between instructors. You know what I'm talking about?
No, it never happens.
Yeah, just in Belgium. Yeah, it's crazy. I know. So some politics between instructors. So they closed the school, and then people said, yeah, there's no kung fu anymore in our town, and there's no martial arts. There was like just like Chinese. There was a lot of karate too. But I don't know why I was never attracted by Japanese martial arts. I don't know why. Even if I really think it's good, but I don't know. Maybe the way of teaching or the methodology or the structure. So I was more into Chinese martial arts and fighting sports. So people told me, yeah, why don't you teach just a class, because there's no kung fu anymore. There's nothing anymore, no martial arts. And then at that time in 2001 was just karate, boxing, and judo, and that's it, and French kickboxing. And no more kung fu. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try. Maybe I'm just to rent a room once a week and see who shows up, you know. And then I have like 8, 9 students, and then 10, and then 12, and then 15. And for the first year was 1 class a week, and then I said, okay, let's try two classes a week, and then it was 15, 20, 25. And then so it went like very, very progressively. And the thing I was teaching at that time, I couldn't teach it today, you know, because it was so basic. But still, it was the best way to learn, and the best way to learn how to teach was to start with basic stuff. As long as you know, I know more things like your students, and you do it like seriously. Like any class is good as long as you do it like properly, you know. And so, and the good thing happened. The good thing was that I started to teach in 2001. And that's exactly the same year I met my teacher in Geneva. So it was perfect because I went to Geneva because I was not living there. So I went like every 2 or 3 weeks, I went there for 1 week. And when I was in Belgium, I was teaching. And when I was in Geneva, I was learning with my first instructor, Chris Corners. And I was introduced to Jeet Kune Do, Kali, Silat, and then and Muay Thai. So it was a perfect combo and I think it's still the same today. I like to have some time to just when I'm a teacher and I'm a teaching mode, and time when I'm just a student in training mode and don't think about teaching and preparing my classes. So it was a very good combo, and then step by step it started to be kind of a school. And then I said, okay, let's make it a school. I do not make a living with that. Like it's not my job. I wasn't at university at that time. I was studying psychology. So then I became a teacher officially. But so now I'm an instructor in martial arts, and I still have my job. So I don't want my martial arts to be my official job, you know. For me, it's a passion first.
Sure.
So, but now it's becoming, I would say, professional too. So with years, you know, you just improve, you continue.
Sure.
As long as it's working, I'm continuing, you know. And I always even with the time is like with the time, I still love to learn, to be just in the student mode. And I think that's from Guru Daniel Santos too, because that's why he's teaching us. And you always feel a student when you come here, you know. So I think it's it's a very good combo to teach and continue to be a student at the same time.
Well, I figure at the very worst, you at least have something to do in your retirement.
Exactly.
Other than sit on the couch, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because if you think about Guru Dan, I think he actually kept full-time jobs up until
50s, I think.
Yeah, until his 50s.
It's crazy.
Coach I. That's what they call
Coach I. Yeah, I've met a few people that were, you know, students of his in school,
really?
and you can tell because they call him Coach I or Mr. I, and you're like, oh, you mean Guru?
Mr. I,
exactly.
That's nice.
I like that you said share, because we just had a lecture from Guru the other night, and when he was talking about sharing, if you don't share knowledge, it dies and goes away.
Exactly.
And we have things like how the pyramids were built. It was a good lecture he gave us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. Sharing the knowledge, otherwise you lose it. Yeah. And the knowledge, when the knowledge is lost, it's like, it's a shame, you know.
Yeah.
It should be transmitted. It should be shared. Yeah,
I mean, that's a real legacy, because you think about, you know, you can go out there and be a good fighter, a good champion, but you're going to be replaced in a year or two. You'll be part of a long list. But if you can hand something off, then you're moving over generations and not just a blip on a chart somewhere.
Yeah,
you know, that's a pretty important thing. So, but speaking of competition, am I right? Were you a competitor in Sanda?
Yeah, so that was the other thing, because I was into Kung Fu, and then I liked the fighting aspect of it. So I like I like the French kickboxing, the boxing. I did some kickboxing in Brussels too at that time. I remember I was training with competitors, so I was like, okay, now if I'm teaching, and then I heard about Sanda because it's pretty modern. I think it was born in the 90s, something of the sports. Because before it was Kung Fu, fighting Kung Fu, but they had no gloves. You couldn't punch the face, or maybe there was not there was not so many rules, so it was a little bit dangerous. So they made it like in Muay Thai. They made it a sport. So Kung Fu became Sanda, and Sanda is a mix between Kung Fu, which say kickboxing, and Chinese wrestling. That's why you have all this throwing, the Shuai Jiao.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in Sanda you have Chai Jiao.
Oh, wow.
But the only difference is you have the gloves, so you can really wrestle the same as you are at empty hands. And you have a military Sanda too, so it's self-defense and fighting sport.
Wow.
And I think Sanda in Chinese, in Mandarin, it means free fight. It means like MMA.
Okay.
It's like the Chinese MMA. The only difference is like you don't have grappling, you just have throwing. And you can't elbow, you can't really how do you call that?
Clinch. Yeah.
Clinch, you can't really clinch. But in some pro fights, they have the knees and the elbow is just one at a time. So it's a little bit different from Muay Thai. And you have a lot of throws like judo or wrestling throws that you can't do in Muay Thai that you could do in Sanda.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so interesting. But the thing with Sanda, you can wrestle only for 3 seconds. So that's why it has to be very explosive. Yeah. Otherwise, like, if you grab and then you wrestle and then if nothing happened, the referee will stop and you start again.
Doesn't help you to clinch as a delay.
Exactly. So that's why they catch the kick a lot and they throw a lot. And that's really what I loved about it. And then I heard about Sanda, I was like, okay, if I want to be a teacher, if I want to teach Kung Fu in a fighting form, I have to be at least a little bit of experience, like fighting experience, competition, okay? I don't have a really competitive mind. I don't like, competition is not really my thing to compare to others or to be better than others. But I like fighting and I like training. So I was like, okay, now at least in amateur, I have to be able to have to be a fighter and to have experience. If you want to teach some, for me it was like, if I want to teach some fighting stuff, I should have some experience in fighting. And I was not really a brawler when I was a kid, so I was not really interested in fighting in the street.
That's a smart way to go.
Yeah, you know.
It's a way to live longer.
I had some stories with because I had some friends who were fighters and brawlers, and like when we went out, so I had some stuff, but I didn't really like it. So I said, okay, let's have my experience in sports. It's smarter. It's even less dangerous and even helps. I think the sport aspect is even sometimes harder than the street aspect because you have to train a lot for that, and you fight with people who can fight. Sometimes in the street you just fight with people who can't fight. I mean, I think that Daniel Ronero explained that once. He said that people think that fighting in the street is always tougher than in the ring, but if you fight in pro fighting with athletes, you have to be well prepared and train a lot for that. Sometimes in the street you just throw one punch and maybe it's over. Right. So it really depends on the context. So I like this sport aspect, and I just love the physical aspect of it, the conditioning, also the fitness aspect of it, and the preparation, and just I think the sport. What I liked about competition is like you really go. You really have to manage your stress because it's very stressful when you the most stressful is before. And once you are into the fight, it's okay, you just do the job. But when you are before, it's like even 1 week before you think about what could happen, playing scenarios. Even amateur, it doesn't have to be big, but still you're gonna show up and you're gonna fight 100% with the guy, and you know that before. So it's like you have to be prepared for that. And it's not a good feeling. But I like to do it because you learn a lot about yourself. So I did not like a lot of competitions. I think I had 20 fights in total. Then for 5 years I was competing once or twice a year. I didn't have time because I was studying university. I was teaching martial arts. I was more into teaching mode and to studying. But I didn't want to be like a professional fighter or something. Right. I didn't have a coach. I just did things by myself. But there were some tournaments in Belgium. It was open tournaments with the Sanda rules, but sometimes Muay Thai guys showed up, and then you have karate guys showing up, and then it's like open. It's an open competition with the Sanda rules. So because we had like a Kung Fu Sanda Federation in Belgium, so I did some tournaments, and I did 2 pro fights too in Holland, and then. But I was like, okay, if I want to go more pro, I have to train more. I have to have a coach. I have to, then you have the diet, you have the weight, the commitment. Yeah. And it was not like the most interesting part for me, but I wanted to have this experience. It went pretty well. I think I won like 60% of my fights, or maybe a little more. And I liked it. Of course, the winning part is like the best part, the best feeling. The losing part is
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to patreon.com/malmag and subscribing for access to the full-length podcasts. Again, that is www.patreon.com/malmag. This show is produced by Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine. Visit us at martialartslifestylemagazine.com.
Music by Jackal Relic. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.